Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to chat about this extraordinary book, Karen Jennings' Crooked Seeds. Now this book came to my attention as it was recently longlisted for the 2025 Women's Prize for fiction, and I really looked to these lists for ideas to read. And I've read it twice already, and I'm somewhat staggered it wasn't shortlisted. But anyway, let's at least be grateful that it was longlisted, because that's how it got to my attention, and I'm so thankful for it. It is the kind of book that I like, where it has a really troubled protagonist, unlikable and thoroughly off-putting individual. And what the author does, in this case Karen, she just brings to life parts of that character that just tilt our understanding and challenge us on our sympathy and empathy for someone who we really wouldn't like if we ever met them. So what do we have here? So the lead character is Deirdre. She is a white Afrikaans woman in a post-apartheid Cape Town. She is an amputee. She lives in squalor, in poverty, in a tiny flat in Cape Town. She doesn't clean herself. She's hostile to any kindness from strangers, and she has exploited and worn out any lines of sympathy and empathy from neighbors, from bartenders, from shopkeepers around. Anyone who is willing to help her, she has pushed them away. She is never please and thank you, horrible, probably a bit racist, and is bitter. This is someone who sees herself as a victim of society, of culture, of her family. She lives solely off disability benefits, has never done a day of work in her life, and is really spiteful, hostile, and just a bitter, consumed by bitterness and resentment. And that is who we meet. And Karen has interestingly framed this whole story across a couple of weeks in a post-apartheid Cape Town, which is consumed by this suffocating drought. So there is no water. The city is on water shortages, which are sort of given out daily by the army. It is a really suffocating atmosphere where everything starts to feel clingy and horrible and close and toxic. So into this comes a sudden incursion into Deirdre's life. She is a single woman who lives by herself. Her daughter, who she's long lost, pushed away, lives over in the UK and is having a baby, and she's got no interest in that. But she has an elderly mother that is over the road in a nursing home who's dying, and she doesn't visit, interestingly. And into this toxic setup, into this horrible situation that Deirdre has backed herself into the corner of, the police turn up. And there's evidence of a crime that they found in her old family home that was reclaimed, repossessed by the authorities as part of the compulsory land and property repurchases. And the police have found this evidence of a crime, and so have come to Deirdre. And so it starts going back into Deirdre's past to see if she can unravel or come face to face with crimes her family may have been culpable in the past. It is an extraordinarily powerful book. It is centered very heavily around this character Deirdre, who is just awful, and Karen's portrait of her is extraordinary. You can smell her almost. The lack of washing, the stink of urine, the rotting amputated leg, you feel, and then of course the way that this is compounded by all the dirt, the heat from this drought, that there's no washing, there's no water, and it really feels sticky and putrid. But of course what Karen is trying to do is just to tilt us. And I've reflected on this because, like I said, I've read it twice. And this really is about us all being complicated. We are all complicated, and Deirdre is extremely complicated. And I think what Karen has done beautifully here is given us a portrait of someone that sees herself as a victim and is awful, but it's complicated. And that's really what this unraveling brings to the table. And I really found it incredibly powerful. It speaks a lot, obviously, to South Africa as well, because as much as Deirdre's got to excavate her past, this is, of course, a past that is deeply connected to the South Africa's racial issues. And so there is this sense of the way this drought is forcing out historical issues and forcing South Africa, forcing this country to confront its past. And to achieve all this in a book that slim is just remarkable. This is a book that I read after The Promise by Damon Galgut, which also looks at South Africa's past through a contemporary lens. But this is a far more intense study of a single character. And this is therefore feels really close, feels really potent, and I absolutely adored it. If you are someone who really enjoys powerful contemporary fiction that really has embraced unlikable characters and the way it can challenge us, then please go ahead and read this. This is extremely accessible. It's really easy to read, and I found it very powerful. I adored this book. Karen Jennings, Crooked Seeds.